Hey y'all, Shark Scrapper. We have a bunch of these skinny power supply units. I don't think we've done one of those yet. So come on, let's dive in, see what we've got going there. Now, before we start tearing this apart, I thought it might be interesting to take a look at this. You look at the two model numbers. I don't know which model this is right off the top of my head, but what's interesting is you've got the amperage for the input plugs. They're 110, 120 volt input, frequency 50 to 60 hertz. It's in the US, that's what you would expect. Maximum input current ranges from 12 amps to 25 amps. And then you have the max output power rating. So 1440 volt amps up to 3000 and 1440 up to 2700 watts. So there was some oomphy here. All right. I think this is going to be very similar to other power supplies that we've done, but we don't know until we dig in now, do we? Now we've got a big old knocking cord here, so let's get this out of the way because that's just going to be a problem. And I'm going to cut off the plug end because we can open this up and get this brass out of here. Maybe a little bit of copper in there. All right, screws, let's cooperate now. Let's all behave. While I may go speed through unscrewing this lid, I want to take this opportunity to wish all of my U.S. friends a happy Thanksgiving. And if you aren't in the U.S. or you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope that you'll just take this opportunity to take a moment and be thankful for all that you have, all that's around you, and all the people you know. All right, so one screw remaining, not the end of the world. We might be able to deal with that. Let's try one. Nope, you don't want to play. All right. See, that one's causing me a little bit of grief right now. But we'll get there. Love tap. Time for you to cooperate now. No, you're being a real booger. All right. Everybody wants to not cooperate today for some reason. Now let's see. We give you a twist. Maybe that'll loosen you up a little bit. There we go. So the batteries were already removed. So yes, this is very similar to other battery system, power systems that we've done. We've got two big knocking transformers here. We've got the board here. So a bunch of wire. So this is a matter of depopulating now. Very much like previous systems we've taken apart. Interesting to me that this was part of a big government auction bid, and they appear to have taken the batteries out of everything, which I find really interesting. I wonder if they had to do that as a hazmat concern. Of course, if they hadn't taken the batteries out, these things would be ungodly heavy. I can't even imagine what these things weighed when they were fully populated with the batteries. Yeah, I can put that in. That'll go in with my number 1. I just need to get it off of that connector end. So number 1 insulated there. When you've done enough of these, they all sort of start to run together because they look very similar to each other. But there can be a few differences here and there that are worth noting if we find it. Ferrous block. Ferrous block, ferrous block, ferrous block. Some of you will appreciate that one. Some of you may not even know about that movie. Getting some wire out the way here. These things have little pinch holders here, so you just pinch those and then you can pull up on them and they come out pretty easily. See right there, just give it a pinch. Pinch these 2 ends here, and then it comes apart. Always look for those kind of tricks so that you're not struggling unnecessarily, because these things will make you struggle enough. Well, there's another screw. There we go. And we'll get those fans out and put them in without our motors. Ribbon wire's very dependent, like everything. Everything is dependent on your yard. But some yards will take ribbon. My yard will take my ribbon wire with my number 2 insulated. Other yards will not. They have a lower category for it. That's a ferrous block. So there's wire, and ferrite just goes in with my small metal bits. We got to use the hammer, so I'm happy. If you're new to my channel and you're wondering what I'm doing with all these little screws, one of my clients is a mailbox repair guy. And so I get the broken up, beat up mailboxes that he replaces, and then I use them for my little metal bits. Some people like to use microwave shells, some people will use cans. So, you know, it's any metal container that has some volume to it that you can put stuff in is a good way to take advantage of that space. For your little metal bits. And we have the brass that's inside these plugs. And just pry that out, and then you can cut close to, but don't include the solder, so you cut close to the solder. That's clean brass. There you go, more clean brass. And then the wire, that little bit of brass hanging on the wire, no big deal. Yeah, sometimes these come out easier than others, right? Just like anything we do in scrapping. Some things cooperate without any trouble at all, and others just want to give you a hard time. All right, I'm going to throw that in with my charade. And then we cut off the rest of this brass. I don't know, this little bit probably isn't worth it. Probably isn't worth the effort. You just make sure you don't get any of that solder in there, because if you get solder in there, then you've got dirty brass. And if you wanted to, you could probably cut that off right there, like that, and then put that in with your dirty brass. That's another option for you. Come on, brass. So here we have a low-grade board. Get the wire off of it. You could pull that off and put it with your small electric motors. And some people like to get these switches, these solenoids, and go after the little silver connector ends in there. But I don't mess around with that. For me, it's just a low-grade board. And some people have rightly asked me why I don't go after some of these little bits of things that I talk about, and I say I don't go after that. Well, there's a very good reason in my case, because I have a lot of stuff that I need to get to, and I just don't have enough time to get after all of it. So I go after the higher value things, and that way I can keep it moving. Little plastic trash, get that wire off of there. I was hoping that was aluminum, but it's not. Little chunk of ferrous. All right, now our board. Let's see, we have some screws here to get at. And then we can slide it back and up. We have little guide pins that are keeping it aligned. Okay. Copper. Solenoid switches might have silver in them. Little transformers. These MOSFETs might have, this one has a brassy copper looking heatsink on it, so some people like to pull those. We have another toroid here for copper. We're going to get the wire off of here. Yeah, we can call that number 1. So tell you what, let's bust into one of these real quick, because some of you may be new. I have a lot of new subscribers, and some of you may not understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the silver contacts down inside of here. So right there you see a lot of nice copper, right? But this part right there is very likely a little dollop of silver. So some people like to pull that and get the silver. Now silver is not, I mean, it is technically a precious metal, but it's in the 20s per ounce right now. There you go. So comes right off, it's just on some copper. So there's a lot of people talk about going after the silver, but a lot of times you'll spend more in the chemicals that you need to refine the silver than you will in actual value of silver. So be very careful. I'm going to put this with my electric motors, but let's just see real quick. If that core pops, now that's more of it. Sometimes the cores on these things are very brittle, and they will let you, let's see, maybe we can do it this way. It's fun to do this if I can get this one to cooperate. And well, sometimes you can cut those in half and then pull this off like hair. And then we have the toroids for more copper. Sometimes they bust right off. This one wants to be a little problematic. But that's all right. We know how to take care of problem children. Now this ferrite core is just a ferrite ring, so sometimes those are bands and they're a pain in the butt to deal with. This one should be pretty easy. So we can just bust it down like that. And now we have number 2 copper. We just cut off that little end there. So there's some number 2 copper. And it really didn't take that much effort. Pull off that little bit of insulation there. There, and that's ferrite. That can go in with your little metal bits. And we have some copper. Copper. We love copper. All right, and let's see about these guys. Well, since I have a reputation for treating my wood chisels with such loving care, let me demonstrate another way to get those off of there. Now, your shop teacher will take great, angst against that. They're going to be really mad at you, but it works, and we can get more of these. That can either go in with your copper-bearing motors, or you can put that in to break off that wire. Let's see. There we go. Do a little unraveling here. So if you want, you can get that copper wire off of there. All right. Now then, let's see what we got going with this daughter card here. Anything interesting? Yeah, there actually is. So, tantalum capacitor, ICs, oscillator, mid-grade board, easy. Now, with this board, this is a low-grade power board. You've got all this power stuff on it. If you really wanted to, you could cut right along here and here, and that could go in with your mid-grades, kinda. Yeah, that'll work. That would work going in your mid-grades. Or you can just chuck the whole thing in with your low grades. Another option is to bust off these. These are aluminum heat sinks, and then you can get some more aluminum. These links are going to take you to more of my computer scrapping videos, and then there's another link for what YouTube thinks you want to see, and the round one in the middle, that's to help you to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Enjoy Thanksgiving if you celebrate it, and have an awesome time. Bye now.